Hey everybody, how you doing? IntoWeapons back again with you. Got a quick video today. It's actually a request from my mom to do this video, which is going to be a cleaning on her EAA Windicator 357-38 Special Revolver. Recently she took it out to the range and had a little bit of fun with some of her friends and had requested that I clean it for her, but at the same time do a little video for her, kind of a video tutorial on how I do the cleaning so she can kind of do it herself next time. And I applaud her for that, to be able to take the initiative and make sure that her guns are clean after every use is something that I preach upon myself, and I really again applaud her for wanting to do that. So I'm going to try to keep this video as simple as possible for her, for the number of supplies that are used and the actual procedure itself. Really just a basic cleaning. If my mom ever wants a detailed cleaning, she can come back and I'll be certainly more than happy to help her with that on her at her request. So really what I'm going to do here is just a real quick simple cleaning for her. That way she's able to revert back to it and do this in a kind of a quick fashion. Real quickly going over the supplies that she'll need, or you'll need, to be able to do kind of this cleaning process is our 3 brushes, 1 nylon, actually 2 of them nylon, then just 1 softer, 1 harder, and a brass brush, which is very handy. We have a clean rag or a dirty rag, just something to wipe your gun down with, and I'm going to move that over so the quality of the video comes out a little bit better. It comes out a little bit darker and clearer. We have our cleaning rod, which is important. We have a brass cleaning brush. We have a cleaning rod tip, which allows you to put your patches in there. And we have patches which are good for 30 caliber, 357, 9mm, 38, 38 special, etc., etc. So this really covers everything for you. And then you have your cleaning solvents, and I'm actually going to provide my mom a can of this, which is really nice. It's the Ballistol, and or Ballistol, however you want to pronounce it. And the nice thing about this is it's all in one, so it's got the cleaner, the solvent, and the lubrication all in one can, which is a lot easier for her. That way she doesn't have to buy separate products like I do when I clean my guns. So again, this is going to be kind of a real quick, simple process here, just to kind of keep it simple and easy for my mom. But what we'll do is we'll head right into the cleaning process. We're going to go ahead and check to make sure the weapon is clear by opening the cylinder, making sure that's empty, kind of looking around, just making sure everything looks put together, nothing's broken or anything like that, just kind of visually inspecting the firearm. At that point then we can start putting a little bit of this Ballistol down our barrel to kind of start working on some of those fouling in there. We'll go ahead and just spray it in there liberally all around. And we'll do the same thing with our cylinders here, just kind of getting some solvents in there, working on some of those foulings and things that are left behind. There we go. And we'll kind of let that sit just for a second. Next we'll go ahead and take our brushes here and spray our brushes down. And we're just going to go ahead and go over all these metal parts with this brush, just pushing around these solvents. Really going to let the solvents do the majority of the work here. And this nice thing about Ballistol, or Ballistol, or again, however you want to pronounce it, is it's fairly easy on the gun. There's not a lot of harsh chemicals in there that's really going to do any damage to your firearm. So you're able to use a lot of this and on most all firearms and not really have to worry about doing any kind of damage to your firearms. I know a lot of people like CLP because it's a easier chemical to use. It's not as harsh. I prefer Hops Solvent number 9. I find that works pretty well. It's a little bit more of a harsh chemical, but it hasn't done anything to any of my firearms that concerns me. And again, I'm just going through all these parts and pieces, applying that solvent to all these areas that have fouling on it. Some of these harder areas, like the front of the cylinder here, a little bit of this ejection rod here, and then obviously in the barrel, in the front of the barrel here where the round sits, we'll have to use a brass brush to get a lot of that heavier stuff off. But now that we got kind of a nice layer over everything, we'll go back and we'll use our brass brush here to get in some of these areas again that have a little bit more buildup and a little bit tougher to get off with just a regular nylon brush. You do want to be careful with the brass brush that you're using it wet. You don't want to use a dry brass brush. That'll mar your surfaces and do damage. But kind of going in a circular motion if I can. That way the brass brush bristles are kind of getting in all the areas. And as I'm doing this, I'm just visually inspecting that the area is becoming clean, that I'm not overdoing it and doing damage to the firearm again. These surfaces are pretty strong. They're not really going to do much damage from a brass brush, but you always want to be conscious of it, that's for sure. And that's looking pretty good. This is probably one of the tougher spots here. A lot of gases escape from the cylinder right there, so it builds up quite a bit. The other place that you're going to notice it heavily is on the front of the cylinder. In this area here, again, a lot of gas is escaping right here, so naturally you'll have a larger buildup of fouling and dirt and grime. What I'll do is probably go off camera real quick here so I don't take up too much time on camera, but you really want to scrub these areas really well. Let the solvents sit there for a while if you're having a difficult time getting them off with your brass brush. The solvents will sit there, eat away at it. It'll do a lot of the work for you. But we'll go ahead and do a lot of this scrubbing off camera and come back here shortly. Okay, at this point, so I've scrubbed down the spots in the front of the cylinder, right here in the front of the barrel or the back of the barrel, and gotten all of that heavy fouling off. Now as you can see, it's got its original finish there. You can tell that there's not a lot of blackening, things like that. The same for down inside here. What you want to do is just take your rag then and wipe down the firearm, removing all of the solvents that you've put on there. Really don't want to leave any solvents behind typically, but with the ballistol, again, being that it has a built-in lubricant, leaving a little bit behind on the parts and pieces, especially on the interior of the gun or the moving parts, the working areas, definitely won't be an issue. And we're just going to go ahead and wipe it down real good like I said here. Everything looks really nice. Surfaces are exactly how I'd like them to be. And you're never going to get it off all completely. I mean, you could probably sit here for hours and scrub and finally get it off, but as long as you're getting the majority of the fouling out, that's not a problem. And the reason that you want to do all this is two reasons. One, you maintain the firearm. It's going to definitely operate much better and stay nice for a longer period of time. And two, you want to maintain the value of your firearm as well. So the next thing that we're going to do is work on the cylinder and the barrel by setting a guide rod and brush down it. So we'll take our guide rod, we'll take our brush, we'll screw that on. This is the brass brush. And again, we'll just put another layer of ballistol in here. These cylinders. Anything that leaks out onto your gun cleaning mat here, you can just wipe down like that, no big deal. And then we're going to just send this, we always want to again make sure that we have some wetness on our brass brush. We're just going to send this through the cylinders, probably 3 or 4 passes for each cylinder hole here. And then we're just working out the fouling on the inside. And you're just going to want to repeat this process, look down the cylinder holes, make sure that they look clean, that kind of situation. And then we're going to do the same thing for our barrel, just by putting it through and going back and forth. And do this as many times as you feel necessary. We'll put a patch through and kind of test our work and do a verification process at the end, make sure that we have everything. But that's pretty much the process for the brass brush. Again, I'm going to go off camera, work on these a little bit more in depth, and we'll come back. So once we have the brass brush and we've gone through all the barrel and everything that we've liked, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take our rod tip here, which is going to hold our patches, and attach that to our cleaning guide rod here, and we'll take our cleaning patches, again making sure you have the right caliber. Take a couple of those, and we'll start with using a wet patch to go through, just moistening it with the solvents, and we'll again start with the cylinder here, just kind of working it through each of the spots here, picking up anything that we've loosened with the brass brush. And as you can see, we got quite a bit there. And what I typically like to do is just continue doing that with a clean patch 3 or 4 times until, you know, finally it comes through where it's not picking up any fouling and your patch is pretty much coming back clean. That's not to say that your cylinder's clean, but it's to say that you've removed all of the loose fouling that can be found in there. Now, if you go back with the brass brush again through here and loosen some more of the fouling and dirt, I'm sure you could run a patch through it again and pick out more. Again, you could probably sit here all day and do that, but in the end, there's always going to be a little bit left behind. Now, as you can see, that's much cleaner than my original, so we're getting there. And I'll probably send one more through just to be on the safe side. This one, again, being a wet one. Spraying it down a little bit with my ballistol. I like to push it back and forth, rotate it around a little bit, work it inside those cylinder holes. And as you can see, this one came back much cleaner. So we know that we've picked up the majority of fouling in there, as much as I think as we need to worry about it right now. And I'll also repeat this process with the barrel. The barrel will be a bit more dirty than the cylinder, so we'll just pay a little bit more attention to that. And came out pretty dirty there. Not horrible, I've seen a lot worse. I think my mom probably put, I want to say maybe 50 rounds through the gun, so there's not a ton of rounds through this firearm. And that'll definitely make a difference if you have more rounds through it. Obviously, the dirtier it will be. And again, I'm just kind of rotating it around inside there, trying to get as much of it out as possible. Pushing it back and through, making it tight. And as you can see, this second one came out much cleaner. So I think we're probably good within the barrel as well. Once you've done that, at that point then I kind of just take my rig and wipe everything down again real nicely, because you're probably going to have a little bit more solvent from the barrel and the cylinder dripping on the firearm. So just wiping it down real nicely, making sure all that solvent is off there. Looks pretty good. And then typically that would be it. Because your ballistol has the lubrication in there, that would be the final step there. And you'd be able to go ahead and load this up or put it back in your safe, or however else you want to keep your firearm. But she's clean at that point. You can definitely get a little bit more detailed than that. And again, this is just the simple cleaning process for my mom to be able to, you know, come home from a range visit with maybe a couple of her friends, or if she goes out to practice with it, she can come home and easily clean it herself without spending a whole lot of time or detail into it. So I hope that helps some of you guys out. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, as always, I appreciate watching, and until next time, take her easy.